Come on in. We're going to go ahead and get started. Aloha, everyone. But before we begin, as is our tradition, I'd like to call for a blessing for our gathering tonight. And I'm looking for Kaliko.
Aloha kako, let us pray. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the opportunity to gather again as Ohana of Lahaina. Lord, we just ask that you have your way today in our meeting this evening as we continue to progress and make forward movement. We thank you for the leaders that are in the room. We thank you for us as Ohana that are in the room, and also be with those that could not be here. Those that are online, we thank you that what they need will be shared this evening, and working through opportunities to continue to get us all home. So take us all home safely this evening, and we thank you for the weather that stays where it needs to stay, and bring us all home safely and bring us back at the appointed time. We ask this in your precious name, Jesus. Amen.
Mahalo, Kaliko. At this time, I'd like to invite up Mayor Bisson to offer a few words. Aloha, good to see everybody again this evening.
Aloha, Lahaina, Ohana. Thank you folks for gathering with us again this evening. I know we have a lot of stuff to cover, so I just want to cover 3 areas. The first is the impending storm. Earlier today in a briefing this morning, and we'll get another one tomorrow morning, a statewide briefing, it was categorized as a cyclone. Now, I didn't quite understand that because I'm not used to hearing that term that often. But apparently it goes from a cyclone, the next step would be a tropical storm. That would be the next level, and the next level would be hurricane. So just to give you an idea where it's at right now, it is on track. The latest information, it would hit someplace, it would hit the Big Island and Maui somewhere around Friday afternoon, Friday evening, then into Saturday, and then make its way over to Kauai. That can all change. Everything can change all the time. It can slow down. It can change track. It can become more severe. It can become less severe. I just want everyone, and I know I don't have to tell this community as much as I would have to others, please take it seriously. Please prepare your family, prepare your home, prepare what you need. Again, today is Wednesday. We're not going to see each other between now and Friday. So I'm just passing that on. If you have any questions at all, we can try to answer them for you if you come up later. But that's the latest. The second thing I want to talk about is fraud. We're going to have a presentation tonight by the prosecuting attorney and members of his office. They're going to be here. So you can ask specific questions. We know that there have been there have been a very high number of fraud cases. Some of them reported and some of them not. And the fraud I'm talking about are you folks giving your hard-earned money to somebody to build and rebuild your place, and they not fulfill that. For whatever reason, I'm not putting everybody in the same category. If you fall into that category, we want you to report it. We want to take action. We want the police department to take your complaint, investigate that complaint, and if it's valid, in other words, it's a criminal case, then that we make that case. And here's what I want to tell you, and this is not to put any guilt on anybody. If you put a stop to it, it won't happen to your neighbor. If you can stop that person from doing it, in your case, it won't happen to the next person. Or it's less likely. One of the most common ways we can help each other in our communities, and this is really no matter what the offense is, in this case it happens to be construction fraud, is when you tell the rest of the people the name of the person that's doing it. When you identify the person who is the perpetrator, they cannot hide and they cannot do it again. But if someone's embarrassed because they got taken advantage of and they don't want to say anything, and they don't want to share that, then, that's going to change, or that's going to affect what we do. So I'm not asking you to take any action on your own. I'm asking you to report it to the authorities. And if you need help, Andy will put you in touch with his team, the Victim Witness Counselor Division, to help walk you through this. It's uncomfortable for people to report crime. It is uncomfortable. But you're not the only one. You're not the only one. And there are others here, and it's designed to help you folks go through the process. Hey, listen, you make one case and you say, I don't want to testify, I don't want to go to court, then fine, you don't need, you're not required to. Yeah? If you just choose to say, I just want to put it on the record so people know about it. But we're getting an unusually large amount, you folks, especially right around now, this time period. So please, I urge you to report those and listen to the tips that Andy's going to give. Some of you, many of you may have heard it before the presentation. And then the last thing I want to talk about is water acquisition, specifically for West Maui. I just don't want to confuse this with some of the other stuff that's coming on, because there's East Maui, EMI, there's a hearing before the Board of Land and Natural Resources this Friday. I'm not talking about that. That is a separate matter. There's issues out in Wailuku for Wailuku Water Company. I'm not talking about that. I am specifically discussing West Maui. So as many of you already heard or read about, we have entered into a memorandum of understanding with Maui Land and Pine, where we are looking to acquire several of their assets, their water assets, wells, storage, reservoirs, different things like that. All this is an agreement to talk story about those things. We have not made any, we haven't signed any contracts. Right now it's at that stage of figuring out what is the appraised value and whether or not that's something we want to do. So everything's on the table. I just wanted to say that because I don't think we've said this at a public meeting yet, and we've been talking about it because obviously it's been a month since we were here. So that's happening. We're also in the process of acquiring water systems from Launiopoko and Oluwalu water companies. Some of these are before the county council. So none of this happens without the approval of the council, just so you understand. That's where people will be allowed to testify at hearings, at committees. You can testify, and then it'll go through committee hearings and then full council, so people can voice their concerns, if you agree or you disagree with the county wanting to do this. Now, the reason is very simple, is that our water should be controlled by the community. That's just a simple fact. I stated that back in 2022 when we sought office, and we're going through that process now. We are trying to acquire the water systems so that us, can decide how we use that, whether it's to build affordable housing, whether it's for agriculture, whether it's for fire safety, to increase our water capacity, again, specifically for the west side. So if you have any questions about that, I don't know that we'll have a presentation tonight, but we can come back when we have more. I just wanted to clear up in case there's any questions about where we stand on that. Those are the three things I was planning to cover. I'd like to introduce your council member for the West Maui, Tamara Palkin. Thank you.
Aloha mai kako, long time no see. I fully support everything what the mayor said. You know, if it's not too late at this stage, if you have been frauded by a contractor, or even your lawyer is not returning your calls, it's not too late. We want to build as best a case as we can against fraudulent contractors, poor lawyers, not returning calls and things like that. So please, every piece of information can help our prosecuting attorney pursue justice. To follow up on what the mayor said, the Launiopoko Water Company, Oluwalu Water Company, both potable and non-potable, moved out of committee. I think one of the council members didn't vote to support it because she was waiting on more information. She said she may change her mind at first reading. So it has moved out of committee. And so the next opportunity to testify would be first reading and second reading at the full council. And this was based on a water engineering report as well as a business plan report from a third party that did that due diligence for us. We looked over it, and the council did support it out of committee. So there's still first and second reading. If you'd like to support, send in testimony support or testimony against. We'll read it. There's two big projects I'm working on legislatively. The next one coming up is South Maui Community Plan. Like West Maui did their community plan. I think we adopted in January 2022. And so now South Maui is up on deck. That'll probably come up towards the mid to ending of September. And I'm currently working on 3 pieces of legislation based on community feedback about cameras and the police use for their real-time operations center. So the first piece of legislation would try to prohibit a contract with a camera company that would share the data with a third party, like the federal government, without a warrant. The second piece of legislation would prohibit use of AI facial recognition without a warrant. And then the third piece of legislation would we're trying to put some safeguards, like, don't keep the data longer than 30 days, only archive it if it's going to be used as evidence by request from a law enforcement officer with a police report number for a legitimate purpose, so that, nobody off the street can access these cameras to intimidate, harass, or stalk members of the public. That's not what it's for. So hoping to have those legislations introduced by the next council meeting and take it up in September before we go into the community plan. I'm asking my colleagues to treat the community plan kind of like how we treat the budget, where we drop everything else and work on the budget for a month. I'm asking them if they will drop everything else and work on the South Maui community plan for a month, but we'll see. So that's the legislative side update.
Thank you, Council Member. I just want to also remind you that should there be media in the room and they come and ask you a question, they really should introduce themselves as media, and you have every right to agree or not agree. So we always want to give you that advice going forward. We have a very long agenda tonight. There's just so much information to share with you, and let's just go ahead. So tonight, you're going to hear from Office of Recovery. Kumahanahale is going to be talked about, give you an update from our Department of Housing staff. We also have, as Mayor said, a little bit about the water systems for West Maui. We asked the State Department of Transportation to come tonight, so they sent their, I don't know if you know this, but the State Department of Transportation, statewide, the Deputy Director of the entire statewide department lives on Maui. So that's pretty good. And he's here joining us tonight, Robin Shishido. He'll be sharing the bypass information that they had at the recent community meeting held there. And of course, our prosecuting attorney, the head of that department, Andrew Martin, no relation, will be here, is here. He is here to share about contractor fraud. So lots of information, and our resource tables are here afterwards for you to go up to ask a question after we finish up with the audience question and answer period. So at this time, we do want to remind you it's been a tough month, and the month just started, but it's so good to see everyone again. I hope you've been taking care of yourselves, and we always encourage you to take care of yourselves just as we encourage our own people to do that, so that we can help each other get through any moments and any time that we need support. And by the way, these slides are all available on mauirecovers.org for those of you who want to refer to them later or follow along. With the storm coming, here's a QR code provided by Maui Emergency Management Agency. We do remind you to pack your go bag, be prepared, don't forget your pets. follow all the checklists from the official sites. I know we all want to listen to Auntie on Facebook, but we recommend that you use official legitimate sources for information and guidance. And I understand FEMA also has a checklist that you can follow for high wind events as well. These are sources we want you to be familiar with, as we always say when our MEMA team comes and our emergency management agency folks. Stay alert to trusted sources, and they include all of this. In particular, sign up for Genesis, sign up for the MEMA alerts, and just be prepared. No need to panic, just need to be prepared as we go through this. Oh, and they're so efficient. Here are the QR codes, and again, they are on our myrecovers.org. Kako'o Maui, Hawaiian Council wants to remind all of you, they've been saying it for a while, that the distribution center will be closing on Friday at the end of this month, August 28th. So please keep that in mind. Whatever is available, please go and visit their site. And Ulu'olele, the recently announced marketplace that was in the news, is moving forward. The opening is still slated for October. So shortly, in just a few months, we're looking forward to the opening of that. If you are interested as a vendor, please pay attention to that. The next couple of weeks, vendor requests for proposals will be issued. We have some hot kupuna nights coming up. Our favorite, please attend, and you can RSVP for those who want to go, can go, want to bring someone to go. Please RSVP so that they can have the head count. Coming up in August is August 19th. Oh, plenty, yeah. Okay, desalination project is also coming up. They will be having their community meetings on West Maui. It's August 13th, hosted by our Department of Water Supply at the Lahaina Civic Center at 5:30. Some good news, and mahalo to those of you who are able to join us. We recently had the blessing or the groundbreaking for the new, soon-to-be coming Lahaina playground. The largest shaded area will be right there by the aquatic center, the ballpark area. So we recently had that playground groundbreaking, and we also blessed the beginning of the water line project. That's a significant infrastructure project that's set to begin, and we had that blessing with good fellow brothers there with their crews. So some very exciting things happening. Oh, sorry. And for those who were with us on Kuhinia Day, mahalo, it's good to see you there. As always, we are committed every August 8th. You need to be among people or with someone or with friends and get support. Please come. We tried something different this year. We, toned it down a little bit, and it seemed to be, I felt like we were all in a backyard of someone. So it turned out to be a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to be with each other and among community. So we thank all of you, and thank you for those of you who did support us that day. And finally, Lahaina homecoming. Who went? All right. Oh, that was awesome. We want to recognize folks who did that. It was a tremendous gathering. It was like one big town reunion. And so I just wanted to introduce some people. We wanted to really give them our aloha and our mahalo. And I think they're here. And can you come up just so your town can aloha you with a round of applause? Courtney Lazo. I know I saw her. There she is. Come on up. Mikey Burke. Mikey? These are members of the leadership team that brought all of you Lahaina homecoming. Matt Erickson. Matthew Erickson. Tambra Garrick. Where's Tambra? All right, Tambra. And Blake. Blake, are you here? Ramel? Oh, okay. Sorry, there's a glare. Daryl Fujiwara is off island, so he's not with us today. He wanted to let us know that these folks are here tonight as part of the team. Can you just stay up here? Just no run away. I just wanna wanna mahalo you. Oh, why you guys run away so far? That's okay. Come over here. Yeah. I just wanted to ask one of you. You can jump and pull. Which one? Don't make Mikey. She's gonna cry. Oh, Mikey, you can come and be like, how does it feel after all done? Was it everything you wanted it to be?
I wanted to show pole, but I guess I'm it. Yeah, we just want to mahalo everyone for coming down to Lahaina Homecoming. Initially, we thought, okay, how much people are we planning for? You know, vendors were wondering, how much should we cook for? How much, stuff should we bring down? We're like, maybe 300, 600, maybe 1,000. And then I think it was around 4,000 night one, closer to 6,000 night two, and then night three was closer to 10,000 people that showed up. So, yeah. So yeah, just mahalo to everyone for coming down. Really, the dream was just to have our community back in that area before they reopen to tourism, and a chance for all of us to just experience Lahaina town together in a way that we've never had, at least in our lifetime.
I'm not going to cry, I promise. We just want to give a special mahalo to Kim Thayer. She is in charge of herding the cats, and she does a very good job. So much so that sometimes I think we all forget, and even she forgets that she's not born and raised Lahaina, because she will stand up and ku'e for this community like no other. So Lahaina, we are so very grateful to have Kim as our ally to do this work.
How about a hand for them? Take a bow, Lahaina Homecoming team. Woo! Really mahalo them. Here's their full list of folks that helped out in different ways. Want to give a shout out to all of them some who are not with us this evening, but again, they're part of the team, the Ohana, that gave us Lahaina Homecoming. That was an amazing. And that Daryl, if you don't know Daryl, Fushiwara, he's a friend. He's moved on to the county fair. He's amazing. I can't keep up with him. Let's have the Office of Recovery come on up and do your update. Thank you.
Thanks, Mahina. Awesome. Very cool. So I'm going to do a quick piece of this, and then I'm going to ask Aaron to come up. I'm going to ask Tyler to come up, which you guys don't really know Tyler yet. He's going to introduce him. Then we're going to have Jeannie come up. So I'll do my part first, and then we'll keep this moving because we still have a lot more content to go. Oh, and I never do it quite right, but thank you for your grace with me. And then I'm going to go sit with Robin because he looks like he's alone there on that one table. Okay. So we've continued to update Maui Recovers. Mahina already mentioned it. If you don't go to that website, or you've never gone to that website, I'm sure not everybody goes to websites, but I would encourage you to try, because we're constantly updating it, and this is just what it looks like right now. But we're continuing to use that as our source to go to for all things recovery. This is a slide that I show every time. This is just the latest update with the numbers. We post these online, so you guys can go look at the fine print and see what the numbers are, but the building numbers continue to go up every month. A little bit different look at it, because we talk about the projects that are moving forward. These are all mostly housing projects. Some of them that we're funding with the CDBG-DR fund, some of them are private, some of them are just things that are already completed, but we thought we would put this picture together for you to look at that number just a little bit differently. But yeah, it'll be posted online, and please go take a look at that. This represents over 1,400 dwelling units that's coming back. We've got Andy coming up in just a little bit to talk about contractor fraud, and the mayor's already discussed it. But we've got a couple FAQs that we're posting online. It's like, well, what if I need to change my contractor? How do I do that? So you can go in here and it's like, oh, I need to change. And this is just to get you started with that process. We have 4Leaf here tonight if you want to engage directly with them on your particular permit process. And so now I know I went really fast, but it's because we got a lot more coming. I asked Aaron to come up and then get the next crew ready. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, John. Good evening, everyone. Last time I was here, I shared with you several buildings that have gone through the planning permit process on Front Street. I think I created a little bit of confusion with that, and I just wanted to share exactly what the process is so it's well understood. We do have multiple projects moving through the process in commercial permitting. The first step for any project is a pre-consultation step. Then there's planning permits, then there's building permits. So it's a little different process than a residential permit. So just wanted to share all of the projects that we shared the last time have made it through the planning process. And though several of them are in the building permit process right now. So I wanted to share the numbers with you folks. So we have 4 who are currently in pre-consultation, 5 who are in planning review, 5 who have planning permits approved, and then another 4 that are currently in the building permit process. So altogether, cumulatively, that's about a third of Front Street. So it doesn't seem like it maybe, but there's actually only 36 properties on the Mauka side of Front Street. 14 of those are already in process in one way or another. So while all this is happening behind the scenes, there's a lot of movement happening. So just kind of wanted to clarify that. And then let you folks know we are going to have another commercial workshop coming up, and that'll be September 30th for anyone that wants to come. We've been heavily emphasizing the planning process up until now. We're going to transition into more of the building permit process because we are getting kind of critical mass is either in planning or has made it through the planning process. We're going to really be leaning heavily on building permit. So if you have any questions about commercial permitting, I'll be here. You're welcome to come talk to me afterwards. And I'd like to introduce Tyler, who's going to share a little bit with you about DCMP. And he's also now Office of Recovery's link to MEMA, to emergency management. So he's got some things to share with you on that too. Thanks, Tyler.
Thank you, Erin. Good evening, everyone. Thank you. I'm Tyler Dahlgren, and like Erin said, with the Office of Recovery. As many of you in the room may be aware, the FEMA-funded, state-led version of disaster case management program came to an end on the 10th, and the county has taken steps to secure that program into transition into a more long-term program to wrap together an umbrella of resources as we move forward with that program. The key takeaways here at this stage is that the county has picked up funding and that we anticipate services will continue without interruption. You'll be able to still continue to talk with your disaster case manager should you have one. And just wanted to point out that transition and thank FEMA, who's in the room here, for the funding for that initial program, getting it off the ground, and for the state for stewarding that forward. And then as Erin mentioned, I'm speaking on behalf of MEMA tonight we had at the Office of Recovery had received some concern from the community over mitigation efforts in the Waianae area and abroad, and just wanted to share what MEMA is working on in terms of mitigation for that area. And good map up here. You can check the slides later to see the county parcels that we'll be taking care of. That program this project is moving forward nicely, and it also coincides with a request from DPW that rights of ways be maintained moving forward, that they've been doing Kuleana and handling it, but they've got a lot of property to maintain in the area, and they ask that any property owners can maintain those areas themselves. And also wanted to point that fire did send out some ordinance notifications around property management and taking care of your properties for mitigation. It's important for everyone's safety, right? So those are my slides, and I will pass this off to Jeannie from Ho'okumaho.
Aloha, everyone, and thank you for having me yet again. Just a few quick updates today. So we do have 2 new Ho'okumaho programs launched, public services and economic revitalization. Those are for nonprofits to apply to provide services like youth services, critical human services in the community, as well as job training programs through the economic revitalization program. So applications are open. If you know of any nonprofits that are interested, click the QR code. I see lots of phones going. And then we also are having another Meet Our Builder event, an open house. This one is at the Kahului Resource Center at the Maui Mall. That is the 20th from 5 to 7, so next week in the evening. The one at LRC was very informative and helpful for a lot of folks. So if you want to meet the Goodfellow team, talk with program specialists, this is a good opportunity to do so. And last but certainly not least, we do have a couple of important announcements about all of our programs. So the homeowner reconstruction and reimbursement program deadline was originally set for later this month. However, that has been extended through December 31st of this year. So if you have not yet submitted a application for reconstruction or reimbursement, you can still do that until the end of the year. We also HUD increased the income limits in June, so those new income limits are posted. If you think you might even be close, come talk to us, submit an application, and we'll process through your income and see if you income qualify. And that's it.
Hi everyone, Alicia Mazingo with the Department of Housing. We are the Housing and Community Development Division. I'm here honored and excited to talk to you about the Komohana Hale rebuild. Really quick, so I am we're a team of 4. I have 2 of my team members here, Austin Van Heusen and Mati Samatiu. And then the consultants working with us on the project are G70. You can see their names here. They're not going to be here today, but they will be with us next week at the site. So just a little background on the project. It's affordable housing project. We had another project called Lahaina Crossroads that was closer to Front Street. We're not going to redevelop Lahaina Crossroads, and we're looking to redevelop Komohana Hale and bring it back bigger and stronger. So we're in the very early stages of planning. We're looking right now at a site assessment, and we're looking at increasing the units from 20 to 40. This is the location, just adjacent to the Lahaina Rec Center, Mauka side of the highway, at 120 Leo Street. The current scope of work, as I mentioned, is a site assessment, and that does include the Chapter 343 environmental assessment process. We're looking at concept design right now, so just building placement, site layout, and looking at how to get enough parking and community features on the site. The goal of all this work is to develop a new RFP for a design build procurement, hopefully towards the end of this year, and release it early next year. So this is one of the concepts that we're looking at. This one matches pretty closely to what was on the site previously. So there were 2 buildings previously, and 20 units. Again, we're looking at doubling that to 40 units. This is the second option that we're looking at, kind of flipping sides with the building. Gives a little bit of a breather with the highway right next to the one of the buildings. It does get a little bit closer to the subdivision behind it. So that's one of the reasons we want to have the community meeting, to get everybody's feedback. And so we will be at the site next week, Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. We'd like everybody to join us that can. We're looking for input on site layout, density, parking, and what type of community features we might be able to incorporate at the site. If you're not able to make it in person, you're welcome to email us feedback, and we're happy to hear it that way as well. You can call us too. And again, we'll be at the site. We plan to be there getting started right at 5:30 and hopefully ending around 7. We'll have some lanterns and things as the sun goes down, but we shouldn't have any issues in terms of it getting too dark. And that's it. So we hope to see you guys all next week. We do have some flyers over here, and there's information on the website. So if you brought your phone, you can get the QR code and check out all the information. Same plans that we have shown here online. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alicia. Aloha, everyone. Great to see you all again. Thanks for having us here today. My name is Josiah Nishita. For those of you who don't know, Managing Director with the County of Maui. Our mayor and your council member also has highlighted some of our recent discussions around acquisitions of water systems. So I won't rehash what was already kind of said earlier. What I would just point out is that in relation to that, and all this information is available online. Very early on after the wildfires, one of the first initial things that we conducted was a public sentiment analysis. That fed and grew into our recovery needs assessment, which helped feed our plan for the Lahaina long-term recovery plan, as well as fed into our CDBGDR action plan. So we've heard from the community for a few years now regarding really water as a public trust resource and the desire to return that back to public stewardship. And you can go look at those plans and analysis throughout the kind of journey since the wildfires, and that's available online. The commitment to this, as Mayor stated, is really to be continue to be community-led, government-supported, and as we heard from the community so much about returning water back to as a public trust resource, and to be stewarded by the community. That's why we've gone through these endeavors. As Mayor mentioned, Maui Land and Pine, we do have a MOU with them regarding potential acquisition of various assets. And that in coordination with potential acquisitions at Laniapoko Water Company, Laniapoko Irrigation Company, Oluwalu Water Company, and Oluwalu Irrigation Companies, that would lead to a contribution to increasing the public stewardship of drinking water systems in West Maui from currently 45% to 93%. Thank you. As Councilmember Paulton mentioned, some of these are in various stages. All of them have been going for discussion with the council and with the committee. We continue to hear from the community as well as other stakeholders regarding questions, concerns, desires, all those things. We welcome all of that. Please continue to share that with us. We want to ensure that any agreements, any conditions, anything like that is in line with what the community desires, and that the county is really helping to lead this charge on behalf of the community. And we can't get that without your continued feedback and assistance. So we'll continue that process. Some of these assets require additional review by other agencies, such as the PUC, and some of them do not. But we will continue to inform the community about what's happening. We'll continue to go before the council to discuss this and provide additional due diligence. And all of these are, as I said, in various stages. So as we continue the process and get more and more information and are able to further refine details, we'll continue to come forward to you folks. Please, you can catch me after this meeting if you have any specific questions about any of the acquisitions that we have undergoing. But I just want to assure you that we have heard from the community, and as Mayor has directed, we're helping to lead that charge to fulfill the community's wishes. Thank you very much.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Robin with State Department of Transportation. I'll stand next to John so he's not alone. Oh, I need to go up here? Oh, sorry. We got this screen. Okay, sorry. So this evening, I'll give updates on the Lahaina Bypass Phase 1C. We had community meetings or public meetings about a month ago, so if you attended that, it's going to be the same information. So bathroom break time, check your emails. I won't be offended. Just a little bit of history about the, Lahaina bypass in itself. A lot of environmental studies have been done. The first one dating back to like 1990 was the original EIS that established the alignment. And around 2002, there was a supplemental EIS which extended the limits of the bypass and also included the widening of Honoke'ilani Highway. Then about 2009, there was another EA that was done, and it was to kind of tweak the alignment around the Kahoma Stream area. And then in 2015, there was another environmental assessment that included the phase 1B2, that last phase of the Lahaina bypass that was open. So you can see over the decades, this area, this roadway has been studied a lot. When looking at the phases of the Lahaina bypass, so currently right now, phase 1A, 1B1, and 1B2 are the ones that have been constructed. To date, that has cost about $150 million that we spent in construction. Their current phase is extending the Lahaina bypass south. That's where we're going to be realigning about 5.5 miles more Mauka. And right now, that project is going to cost almost $500 million in total with design, construction, right-of-way acquisition, and so forth. So when I last came out to talk with you folks at this meeting, I think it was about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, the talk was, are we going to do Lahaina Bypass Phase 1C? And at that time, I said we just didn't have the funding for it, so it wasn't within our plans. Like I mentioned, to date, or when we're done with that southern realignment, that's going to be $650 million, put into this roadway. But thanks to the county, Mayor Bisson, John in their office, we talked a couple months ago and they committed $100 million, if we would build the bypass going north. And that is why the project is moving forward. It's, county really stepped forward and, provided that funding to allow us to do that. We're still in the preliminary stage of the project, but, estimating that's going to cost somewhere, 250, 300 million. So all said and done, we're going to be looking at almost $1 billion facility here. One thing I want to mention, right now this roadway is known as officially only Route 3000. I think unofficially it's called Lahaina Bypass. A couple years ago, we looked at what would be, might be a good appropriate name. So we came up with Kiha'api Ilani, and just wanted to bring it to you folks. If anybody has any comments, please let us know, anything with the spelling, or if anyone share history. We already got some comments from the last meetings we had. So that's something we'll, move forward with when we're done with all the segments. It's going to be about 15 miles or so that we're going to have of this new roadway. So as far as the project stage where we're at, we're in the early environmental stages. We're at the pre-scoping or early scoping. So the meetings we had a month ago was, again, just to introduce the project, and just collect any early input that the community or any stakeholder might have. And so, again, right now we're just in that early scoping. From there, we'll come up with a report, to see what the project scope is going to be, and then we'll move into the environmental review, conceptual design, and, based on the timelines we need to deliver this project with the requirements for expending the funds that, being provided by the county, and make sure we get something out there for everybody to use. It's going to be pretty accelerated, and, plan, goal, target is to have it open by the end of 2030. With the, utilizing federal money, so both the HUD funds, we're going to have to use federal highway funds to get in it. There's the environmental process. And even though I mentioned studies were done before, some of them are 35 plus years old. So we still need to go through that process again and just reevaluate. There's about 11 subjects that we got to go look through. A lot of it, the cultural resources, traffic, of course, is going to be one. Just reevaluating the land use in the surrounding area and just make sure we, capture all the changes that was done. And, depending what comes out of that studies, we'll determine what kind of environmental dock we can move forward with, whether it's, an EA or just a category exclusion, because, no major changes, might have happened since the last studies were done. But right now, the critical thing is to define the purpose and need, why we're going to be doing this project. So when we looked at it, and hearing initially, from folks, it's like emergency access, transportation safety, and just making sure this roadway fits within the existing approved community plans. So emergency access, of course, we know what happened 3 years ago, and, even more recently with the tsunami warning that we had last year, emergency access is critical. And so with this roadway, it provides another route for folks to get in and out of any areas that they need to. As far as transportation safety, throughout the years, we've seen the crashes, fatalities even. And so with this facility, similar to what we're going to do on the south side, we're going to build 2 lanes of an ultimate 4-lane facility, and we're going to provide separation, and I'll show more details later. But again, there's a comment where you folks can provide. If you guys have anything, by all means, definitely give us your feedback so we can make sure it gets incorporated. And lastly, again, there's been a lot of plans, community plans also as well, that has looked at this roadway. So, we're just going to make sure that this roadway fits within all the community plans and the surrounding land uses. So with, phase 1C, obviously there's going to be a lot of shift in traffic. When we opened up that last phase, there was a lot of traffic that was put onto Keawe Street. So with this roadway, now the traffic is, going to be probably more on the bypass and not use Keawe Street as that main northern terminus or collector roadway. And that's one thing we're going to be doing, when we reevaluate all the studies, is doing another traffic impact analysis report. And so make sure we capture, the future growth as well. We're also going to be looking at the different alternatives. As I mentioned, the alternative was kind of set in the previous EIS documents. One thing that has come up and we've heard from the community, and I just want to point out, when we look at the north part, there's going to be one terminus. Looking at what's, considered viable, it's Pu'ukuli'i and Kaka'alaneo. And we've heard from the community in the last couple of meetings that Pu'ukuli'i is not viable. But again, when we study it, I'm sure those things will come out, right? It's next to the community. There's I think there's like a small substation nearby. So, by doing the study, it will shake out and, probably point to Kaka'alaneo as the most viable option as a northern terminus. Also included in the project will be a midway connector road from Maukamakai. And right there in the blue area, that's the study area where we're looking at that road. And it was also identified in the early EIS. It was a little further south, but we're moving a little bit north to get out of a drainage way that's currently there. So again, looking at this roadway, this is just a preliminary picture of what it could look like. Again, we're going to be building 2 lanes out of an ultimate 4-lane facility, and we can provide a wider median, to give, so you don't have that opposing traffic just adjacent to each other, and then providing a shared use paths for bicyclists and pedestrians. And this is for the bypass roadway itself. When looking at the connector roads, probably going to be a 2-lane facility, but again, we have a median buffer there so you don't have opposing traffic next to each other, and also have grass buffers on the side. And, in the event that this roadway needs to be widened for future development, then it can easily be accommodated by just widening to the outsides. So again, right now, please, go to our website. I think the QR code is still open with the comments, but if not, definitely you can email the project email there and provide any comments. And, we can take those in and, as we develop the purpose and need and, be part of our early scoping document. So as far as next step, again, it's just doing this early scoping, doing some studies again so we can develop that purpose and need and determine what kind of a NEPA document we move forward with, whether it's just a supplement to EIS, a environmental assessment, or a CADEX. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Andrew Martin. I'm your prosecuting attorney. Here to talk to you a little bit about fraud prevention this evening, and talk to you about being able to rebuild safely. Who's seen either my Rebuilding Safely presentation or our Fraud Fighter presentation before? Anyone seen it before? Okay, a few hands in the room. All right. What we're going to do is I just want to talk to you a little bit about giving you some tips, providing you some information that'll help you make good, sound decisions as people continue to rebuild. My department, along with my police department and a few of our other law enforcement partners, are actively currently investigating some cases of fraud in the community. As Mayor said, we are getting more and more of these cases come in. This presentation or presentations like it are the single most requested presentation we get. And it started right here about a year ago. And since that time, the more presentations like this we get, the more information we receive, the more comfortable people are coming and sitting down with us and talking to us about their experience. As Mayor said, we want you to come forward. We want you to sit down, provide us the information, share with us your experience, so that we can do the background information, the background work, the investigation necessary to determine if your particular situation rises to the level of criminal conduct. We want to hold these individuals accountable, all right? And we need your help. We need your help. But first, let's start with some tips. Let's start with some things that we want you to be looking out for, okay? As you look for someone to help you rebuild, we want you to, if possible, look for a licensed contractor. I know there's an owner-builder path as well, right? But we want you looking for licensed contractors to help you. But that doesn't mean that all licensed contractors are ethical, sound business people engaged in good business practices. So there's some red flags we want you to look out for, okay? And one of the ones we have seen time and time again is the request for massive down payments, all right? There is no law in the state of Hawaii that sets a ceiling for what down payment a licensed contractor can accept before a job. But what we recommend after talking to our ethical, sound business partners in the community who are licensed contractors is that you not provide a down payment in excess of 10 to 20%. That 20% is the ceiling, all right? That's our recommendation. We are seeing sometimes down payments being requested far greater than that, all right? $500,000-$600,000 in some cases that amount to almost the entire job up front. Pressures for immediate decisions, okay? And one of the things we see frequently, which we want to make sure you're aware of, is that, hey, we're exceptionally busy because everyone is rebuilding. Everyone is rebuilding, right? So listen, if you give us X amount of dollars now, I can put you up near the top of the list, all right? You sign today, give me X amount of dollars, I can put you at the top of the list and get to work right away. All right? We want you to be very cognizant of the fact that that should be a red flag for you, even with licensed contractors. As we'll talk about later, it's very important that you get bids for your rebuilding. All right? We recommend a minimum of 3 bids, and we want you to be very wary of low bids that are way below what your other 2 bids are, all right? It is not uncommon for even licensed contractors to come in with an extremely low bid to try and win your business. One of the things we are seeing is that contractors are taking on a volume of work that they are not built to handle. All right? They're doing this through extremely low bids, and then they end up chasing their tail, looking for the next job, the next victim to come along and help them continue to fund this cycle of work that they cannot handle. Now, whether that becomes criminal, well, that's for us to decide, but it is bad business practice, it is unethical, and it ultimately harms you as the person trying to get your home rebuilt, because you have an individual who you've signed on with who cannot handle the volume of work that they have, who is not going to be working on your property the way they should. All right? So please be very wary of low bids. Anyone who doesn't provide a detailed written contract, folks, they're licensed contractors. They need to give you a contract. It needs to be in writing. It needs to be detailed. It needs to set forth specific, such as what the total amount of the work is going to be in terms of dollars, what the down payment is going to be, and what the scheduled payments are, okay? Payments should be tied to certain milestones, all right? When certain phases of the job are completed, then payment is due only upon the completion of those particular phases of work. And that should all be set forth in the contract, right? What we're seeing a lot of is unlicensed contractors, and this comes in one of 2 different ways, right? Particularly unlicensed contractors who are holding themselves out as licensed contractors, okay? If you have someone that you're working with or someone who wants to work with you, all right, and they are telling you or making either outright telling you that they're a licensed contractor or saying things that make you believe that they're a licensed contractor, all right, but they're stating that you are going to be required because it'll save you money, it'll save you time, what we're going to do is we're going to have you apply for all the permitting. Red flag. Red flag. Okay? We are seeing time and time again unlicensed contractors taking advantage of people in our community, not just in Lahaina, but all over the island. All right? There is a certain monetary threshold of work, a handyman exception, if you will, where that level of work is okay for someone to be unlicensed. Once they get above that relatively low level of money, they need to be licensed in order to do the entire job as a licensed contractor for you. All right. If they cannot provide any proof of licensing, insurance, bonding, that's a red flag. Anyone who insists on cash payments only or massive payments up front, including the total amount, red flag. All right. Anyone who is again asking you to apply for that owner builder permit as a way to save you money or time, but holding themselves out as a licensed contractor, telling you right now they're not. So what are the tactics we're seeing? We're seeing price gouging, contractors who are charging exorbitant rates for materials and work, lowballing that offer, that bid in order to get your business, and then because they've lowballed it and they cannot make a profit off this, you're going to see what they call change orders start to ramp up. All right. Unexpected things came along. We need different types of materials. We need to put in these chains. It's going to cost you more. It's going to cost you more. They come back to you. I can't do anything else unless you give me another $50,000 above what we originally talked about. Another $100,000, $175,000 above what we talked about. Now, that's not to say that things don't come up in construction that were unexpected. They do. All right? A licensed ethical contractor is going to explain that to you. That's going to be built into the contract so that those things are covered in advance. All right? And then, we see time and time again abandonment of work. You sign up with the individual who you believe to be a contractor or who is a licensed contractor. You give them a ton of money. They do partial work, and then you just don't see them again. Right? You call them, you email them, and you don't hear from them anymore. All right? This is something we are seeing time and time again. So let's talk about some smart steps and how you can protect yourself. Verify licenses, insurance. I'm going to put a QR code up here in a little bit that'll take you to Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs website, their Maui Strong link, which will give you all the links that you need to, number one, look at your general contractor's license or the person holding themselves out as a general contractor to check on their license, as well as the subcontractors to make sure that you have all the information and links and phone numbers that you need to be able to make sure that these people who are holding themselves out as professionals, you're able to verify that for yourselves. All right? Again, get multiple bids. Okay? I understand that someone may have done work for your neighbor's uncle's buddy a while ago, 10, 15 years ago. They did such good work. This is the guy to go with. Okay? Get multiple bids. All right? And again, that lets you see a couple things. Number one, what the high bid is. Okay? What the low bid is, and then what's kind of in the middle. You don't have to just get 3, get more if you want. All right? But we're trying to put you in a position where you can identify outliers. Okay? And the ones I'm really worried about are those really low bids that look really good, but guess what? They're too good to be true. Okay? Never pay in full up front. Don't pay exorbitant down payments. Do your research by checking online, but Mayor referenced some of the best research you can do. We're far enough into this now where this community knows who the bad actors are. All right? Ask your neighbors, ask your friends, ask your other community members who are rebuilding as well and what they've heard about what some of these licensed and unlicensed contractors are doing. Ask them for names. All right? These names are out there. They're circulating. So that is a great source of information for everyone. And then document everything. Keep copies of contracts, receipts, invoices, text messages, emails, phone calls, voicemails, all right? Document everything, keep copies of everything. Take photos of the work, the property as work is progressing, okay? So everyone take out your phones. This QR code here will take you to the Maui Strong website at the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs. Especially, they've improved the website. I just was on it the other day, and particularly on your phone. It's very easy to use. It gives you the links on how to do several things: how to file a complaint, how to look up the individual in terms of their licensing, how to what you need to know, and how you can look up subcontractors to make sure they're licensed. It's a very helpful website. Please take a photo of that. And then where can you find help? Listen, some of these cases and some of the things we're seeing in the community right now, some of it is criminal. It's fraud. Some of it is bad business practices and unethical behavior. All right? Remember that there is a tremendous amount of good work being done in this community too. There are contractors who are ethical, who are engaging good business practices and are helping to rebuild this community in an impactful way. All right? I don't want to leave that unsaid. All right? Whether it's criminal or whether you've been the victim of a contractor who's engaged in just bad business practices, we still want you to come forward, sit down with us, and provide us the information so that we can be able to kind of investigate and assess which area we're in. All right? You can do that in a couple of different ways. One is by calling the Maui Police Department. Their non-emergency line is 244-6400 and make a report. Now, I know a lot of people in this community have done that already, only to find out that their report was designated as civil only, or to follow up on it only to find out that nothing has happened. Now, sometimes that's the case. And if that happened to you or someone you know, I want you to reach out to my office, okay? Because we can follow up on that. So our main line is 270-7777. And I also want you, more importantly, to send an email to prosecuting.attorney@mauicounty.gov. Right now, we have a small team of deputies and investigators who are just working fraud cases in Lahaina. Okay, we are actively working these cases. We are partnering with MPD and other law enforcement partners to be able to make sure that we can investigate the full breadth of what we think is going on. All right? But we need you to help us out. We need you to come forward. All right? I've already had a couple people come up and talk to me already. If you're in the room because you fear you've been the victim of fraud, I want you to come talk to us tonight. With me this evening is Ana Malafu Eliesa. She's our director of our Victim Witness Services Division. We're going to sit down. We want to take your name, your number, your email. We want to know the address of the property where the work is being done. All right? And then we want to be able to reach out to you to continue the investigative work that we're currently engaged in. But connecting you with Ana is also important because we want to find ways that we can continue to help you. Even if this doesn't end up being a criminal case for you, what other services can we connect you with that might be helpful to you in your continued rebuilding process? All right? My job and my role is to investigate and prosecute crimes within the county of Maui, but really our responsibility goes far beyond that. All right? We are here to serve you, help and support you in any way that we can. And that's why I brought Ana with me today so you can meet her. We have some pamphlets and information and ways you can get in contact with our Victim Witness Division. Please come up, sit down, chat with us, get a flyer, even if it's not for you, but one of your neighbors, friends, family members who you know have been a victim of fraud, please provide our information to them. We'd like to speak with them. All right? So key takeaways, please be patient. Don't feel pressured. Don't feel pressured to sign on the bottom line. And don't tell anyone Don't let anyone tell you that, hey, you got to give this big money up front. You got to sign today, else you're going to the back of the line. It'll never happen. Don't feel pressured. Be patient. Verify. Check licenses. Check insurance. Check references. Get everything in writing. Pay smart. Don't give big sums of money over to contractors or individuals holding themselves as contractors, okay? But most importantly, trust your gut. If something seems too good to be true, guess what? It is, right? So thank you for letting me talk to you, and I'll turn it over to Mahina.
Thank you. Prosecuting Attorney Andrew Martin. This is their table right here. So we're going to go into the question and answer period as short as we can, because I know there are a number of you that want to talk to our teams, our different teams here, bypass, housing, prosecutors, 4-Leaf, Office of Recovery, FEMA, Long-Term Recovery Group. They're all here, including 4-Leaf. But for now, we're going to start with an online question, and this is actually for housing. And I do want to acknowledge Joe Campos is here. Where'd he go? Oh, he's in the doorway hiding. He is the interim state director of the Department of Human Services. Did I have that right? Okay. He travels here from Oahu to come to these meetings once a month, just so he can keep an eye on Lahaina. So we really appreciate your time, Joe. It is rare to have a state director come to Lahaina regularly every month for our community meetings. The slides, I see some of you squinting. So again, a reminder, there could be a lot of text on it because we want references later. We want you to be able to go look at the information later on and not try to remember everything said. So it's on mauirecovers.org. You can take a screenshot, you can use it, you can forward it, you can print it. Just make use of that information. So I do realize that some of the slides were small fonts, but a lot of information. So the question for Housing Department from online is the housing project at the end of Leoleo. What size units will be built there? Will there be a second entrance exit into and out of that neighborhood? So Alicia?
Hi. So the previous property or development had 21 bedroom, 1 bath units. We are looking to change that up to include 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. I don't recall the exact mix of how many each of those unit sizes there are, but they were on the plans, and that information is online if you want to check it out. We're basing that on the HHFDC market study and what it's telling us the area needs. We also have in the works a market study specific to that area of Lahaina, so we will adjust as needed if we get different feedback, either from the community or from that market study.
Thank you, Alicia. Question on that side. Go ahead, Morris. There's a mic.
Question for Andrew. So we've talked before. I'm Rhonda with the Ho'ola Long-Term Recovery Group, and I think some of these questions may be helpful for people in the community that fall in this category. Is it still true that somebody needs to file a police report before the prosecuting office will assist with their case?
So it is extremely helpful if they do file a police report. However, it's not a requirement. If for some reason someone's uncomfortable in talking to the police or making that report and they want to reach out to us directly, please do. That's why I brought Anna along with me here today, right? We can help guide through the process. We can help answer questions about why they might be uncomfortable with meeting with police, or depending on the information that they have, it may be something that we can handle with our investigators and deputy prosecutors. So while it is helpful, it is not required. If you want to come talk to us directly, please do.
Couple more questions.
Yes.
So we completed 2 faulty contractor builds, one in Kula, one in Lahaina. We have 4 scheduled for starting this fall. And I think the frustration we're seeing from many of the homeowners that they share is they file the police report. We send the email to the prosecutor's office notifying them. We have them file the RICO report.
The RICO department, which is, I think, a state department, shares that it takes 1 to 3 years for their process to happen. And one of the main faulty contractors that have over 30 cases in Lahaina, when I checked the RICO site, it says that there's probably like 15 reports on there, and it says that most of them have been closed without taking action. I know that's not your department, but are you able to share what that means, and especially for those who are impacted?
So I can't speak to RICO's processes. That's not, something that we do. But what we have done over the last several months is brought RICO to the table in terms of sitting with us and MPD to talk about everything that we see currently going on, right? So instead of just prosecutors and MPD working on this, we wanted to bring RICO into the conversation too. Now, I think maybe a couple of different things are going on. It could be that for them, it's not meeting their standards. It could be we're hearing that certain individuals are withdrawing their complaints, and we question why they're withdrawing their complaints. Okay? For us on our end, we have one investigation involving, I think we're up to about a dozen potential victims right now that we're working on our end. MPD is working on an investigation that involves a number of other victims, a larger number of victims. One of the things to keep in mind, and there's really no way that I can explain this without it understandably being frustrating, is from a criminal investigative standpoint. We are building criminal prosecutions that we can prove in front of a jury beyond a reasonable doubt, right? We are focused on first investigating and determining whether a crime has been committed, and then being able to successfully prosecute that in court. The process to get there is much more than an individual sitting down with us, giving us some information and us saying, okay, we just filed this piece of paper and the person's charged. It involves the service of multiple subpoenas, search warrants, interviews to get bank records, business records, to be able to, if you will, chase the money, right, to determine exactly what this individual is doing. With some of these contractors, like, you mentioned an individual with 30 cases, right? Some of the things we're looking at are what are the patterns of the conduct which they're engaging in. You look at one of these cases, it might not on its face look like fraud. It may just look like someone who engaged in bad business practices, didn't fulfill their contract and needs to be sued in court. But the more people that come forward, we're able to put together 10, 15, 20 of these cases, we start to see a pattern that looks more like fraud. Okay? So, a couple things there just to keep in mind. Number one, these are paper-intensive cases for us, which require us to do quite a lot of work to make sure we can put that paper trail together. And then a lot of these cases, what we're looking to do is get as many victims as possible to establish the pattern of conduct. Oh, that was probably a lot of lawyer stuff. Yeah, that was really boring. Sorry.
Thank you. But I think that helps to explain how difficult the process is. And especially when people are looking to recover the money, and it's probably going to take a while for them to be able to recover the money. So our focus is to just help them rebuild and get home while they work on this at the same time. Overall. So are you or is anybody else able to share the names of the fraudulent contractors? If people ask us, we share who they are.
It's a little different for me, okay? The ethics that are involved in my particular role, that would be improper to do that. It also, I'm not interested in compromising any of the investigative work we're doing, but even more than that, if I was to provide a name out here with the tape and everyone in the room, and it ended up that person, we couldn't prove a case. I've just done something pretty unethical and putting their name out there as a fraudulent contractor to a case I can't ultimately prove, right? So I can't give names as badly as I want to because I know that's what everyone wants to know. That's not something I can do.
Thank you, Andrew. There's a question. Before I go back to the folks here in the room, there's a follow-up question for housing on the original question. Will there be a second entrance exit in and out of that neighborhood?
Sorry, I missed that second part. Right now, there was only one entrance in and out of the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. Morris here. Okay, go ahead, Jackie.
Thanks, Mahina. And I appreciate the online question because it does tie into one of my questions. Starting with a comment, I do think it's important that we start planning in a much smarter way than we have been. So mine is specifically about Kukui'a and how you can really only leave going into Lahaina down the bypass, right? So like whether or not part of the full intent of the plan for that development was eventually being able to go north, that's not a reality for us for quite some time. And so my question about that was about bus routes. So I had pushed for a while in my previous position about the need to reevaluate our county bus routes for Lahaina and how when I had discussed that with people in the transportation department, they had said, oh, well, right now we're driving through what is a rebuild neighborhood and that's already difficult for us. And I was proposing like, okay, avoid that. Go down the highway, go up all the way to Fleming, where we have folks literally walking from Kilohana to and forth. Same with Kala'iola in order to get to the closest bus stops, which are then down on Ainakea. And so now we're seeing that same thing with Kukui'a and folks having, like, these are very steep hills, and it's just something that we really, really need to look at reevaluating. And the Department of Transportation really just kind of rejected that when I first brought it up. So yeah, that's my first comment. I don't know that anyone has an answer for it. But.
Thank you, Jackie. I see, Councilmember, are you headed here for an answer? Although, here's Deputy Managing Director.
Hi, thanks for that, Jackie, and totally agree. Actually, as we were driving out here, we were saying how valuable it would be for additional bus service just because of traffic issues. So very good timing. I think it's appropriate for us to do some reevaluation for transportation. Did you want to say something else, Josiah? Okay. We'll take a look and get back to you on that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And they are speeding too. The buses, it came specifically to us that in the Lahaina Luna neighborhood, it's not just like individuals and vehicles that are speeding, but there are like buses just like not braking down the hill. So that's of concern. Just a comment that I didn't see. We mentioned that Dara was on to the Maui Fair, but we do have Oban on Friday. So that's another.
Oh, Oban.
Yeah. So that's, I think, 5 to 9 on Friday. But then my other question was just about the DCMP slide and how it said services will be interim services through September of 2026. Was that accurate? Was it supposed to be 2027, or is it really just through next month?
Well, while Tyler's walking his way, Obon, yes. Bad weather, maybe not. So we recommend that you stay tuned to all the newscasts and everything, and always go way on the side of caution and stay out of harm's way.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. That is the date on this interim transitional period while we look to secure a much longer, more umbrella program. Yep.
Thank you, Tyler. Josiah, did you want to add anything to what Aaron was saying? You have that thoughtful look.
No, all I was going to add is there's additional work and discussions happening between Public Works, DOT, community members, as well as the project developer and whatnot about additional traffic improvements in the area. I just note that this discussion, I think in the development of Kukui'a, did come up. There were recommendations provided. Ultimately, I think at that time, it wasn't determined by the community that they would prefer kind of alternative exits in a certain area. I think maybe now times have changed given kind of some circumstances that we faced in the past 3 years. But those discussions did occur and, are being looked at as we talk about additional traffic safety improvements. Thanks.
Thank you, Josiah. I know there was one in the back. Go ahead, Morris. Who has a microphone? Hi.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, I'd like to get back to prior to the July 1st meeting. Prior to that, Leo went to Lahaina, seek some resources. She talked to someone from Kako there about, trying to get us a second home built on our property. They said needed some funding and showed her a model. Coming to the meeting on July 1st, I guess I talked to Kako, Jen and her people. The word was constantly used about you only have one address. That's why you can't, one address. Maybe tonight after the meeting, I can get answers. Because I was told after that meeting somebody would get back to me, but nobody did. So thank you for that.
Okay. We have our team that's going to look for you after. Question in the front, right behind you on that side.
Yes, I have a question regarding the HDX permit process. And I had heard that there was talk about an expedited version for those in the historic business 1, business 2 zone.
Thank you for that question. So yes, we've developed a series of recovery coordination directives, one of which now allows for an expedited process if the rebuild is following the new Lahaina design guidelines. So best approach is always go in, do your pre-consultation with Department of Planning, identify what kind of a build you're looking to create at the property if it's in the historic district. And then if you're following the design guidelines as you're advised with Department of Planning, you can receive an administrative approval instead of having to go through Cultural Resource Commission and have the public hearing process. Because the goal is compliance with the expected design standards for the district.
And what if it's just a temporary business?
The temporary is another situation, so maybe I'll talk to you directly afterwards. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm going to read an online question, and I think this is for you, John, or someone from Office of Recovery. What is the best contact or avenue for survivors to share feedback, insights, suggestions about the DCM program as it transitions to the county, particularly ideas that could help make the program more effective going forward? Is that you? Okay.
Thanks. Well, you can, if you're here tonight and you want to tell us how to run the DCM program moving forward, come see me, come see Tyler. That's the main reason he's here tonight. So if that is not here tonight, please send an email on our Maui Recovers website. We have if you have a question, email, please send that in. And Stephanie, wave your hand. If I'm tied up, go ask her as well. There's a few other staff from OOR. There's tables up here, so come see us, email us, or you can call the number that's on Maui Recovers. Thank you.
Thank you, John. We'll take a few more. I see Morris. Okay. All right. I know folks are eager to get to the tables and questions. At this time, we'll ask Mayor to offer some closing comments. Oh, yes, sir. Sorry. Your question?
Yeah, sorry. Thank you. Sorry, Mayor. I know you guys want to go. Thank you, Mahina. Aloha. Thank you. First of all, I just want to say mahalo for this forum and appreciate you guys, having all the county departments here and doing the recovery. I know it's very difficult, and all the neighborhoods are affected very differently from the fire. And thank you very much. Before I ask my question, I just want to explain something about a section of Lahaina that I think's gotten overlooked a bit. And this section is Mala, which covers, the old chart house, maybe 4 blocks down to including the Kiai Boatyard, Cannery, and probably up to Kinui Street. So if you guys remember when Kahoma village wasn't there, it was an open space, right? Owned by Weinberg. So, when Stanford Carr came to town, and had a meeting about the development, we went there and said, you know what, we got to think about traffic because we're going to add 200 units, considering 2 vehicles per household. We're talking about 400 extra cars in that small area, right? For some reason, nothing was done. So we had an increase in traffic dramatically in just up Kapuna Kea. So now you have the expansion of Cannery Mall. Safeway increased to, I think it's the biggest in the state, 64,000 square feet. That's the biggest grossing store. You have the expansion of Bank of Hawaii, the new building, the gas station, right by Keawe. And there's also a planned expansion right next to the flood control project and the grass area. So there's another business, and which we support. I mean, we like the business, and we support that. It's part of the recovery, right? So my thing is that I placed a call to Angus McKelvey's office, maybe pre-fire, after the Kahoma village, came to fruition. And I don't know if people realize that we have 2 lanes if you're facing Mauka on Kapuna Kea and you're going to drive north on the highway. There's 2 lanes there, but one of them goes to Blackie's and one of them goes north. So if you guys remember Kane Street, Beach Road back in 07, I think, when Beach Road, they put a second lane going down towards Maui Mall that allowed, traffic to be flushed out of Beach Road. So my idea to Angus was exactly that. So we need to flush out Kapuna Kea badly. So if you can consider, Front Street is no more for now, right? So conceivably within the next 7 to 10 years is the timeline when we're going to see Front Street being built back up, right? So the entire tourist population is now crammed into that area. So we got 5 restaurants there. Yeah. So it's very, very congested and busy. We also have issues with, there's no loading zone for vendors to bring products to the restaurants. So we took it upon ourselves to approach the restaurants and see if they can find adequate loading zones for the people bringing the goods for the restaurants. That's been a struggle. So my 2 questions to whoever it's for is, do we have any improvement plans to flush out traffic from Kapuna Kea? Remember now, from Papalua going north, you have only 2 roads that flush out Front Street. So to me, Lahaina is divided, can be characterized as below the highway and above the highway. So below the upper of the highway is, mostly 80% resident. Below the highway is mostly tourist population, right? So my concern is we need to fix that. Kapuna Kea is a very, very important corridor. We need to flush traffic out because from Papalua north, you can't make a right turn off Kinui. You can't make a left turn off Kinui and go north. So the only way out is to Kapuna Kea, and thank God they opened up Front Street on the north side, which is another avenue out. So I just wanted to bring that awareness to everybody and to the county departments who maybe can help mitigate that problem. And I'm willing to take part in that effort, so thank you.
Thank you. I see managing department. Yeah.
Thank you for that. And I really appreciate you mentioning the restaurants. I know there's been discussion about restaurants, parking, loading, so would love to connect with you right after this, potentially. I do think it's valuable for us to now take a look that Front Street is open. We have additional access to evaluate the circulation. And if there's additional opportunities for us to move more traffic, we can certainly look at ways to do that. In the immediate Mala area that you're describing, county doesn't have any land assets for expansion or additional parking at the moment. But through discussion, I'm sure we can, there's solutions to everything. We'll just, work together and see how we can improve it.
Thank you. We appreciate that, really. Is there any one last question? Okay, we're going to give folks time to use our resource table and offer a chance for Mayor Bisson. You can close off.
Mahalo, Chad. We're going to take you up on your offer. Appreciate you. Seriously, you have some great ideas. My guess is we just hadn't thought about it. We've been trying to work some other stuff, but I think it's time for us to do that. So thank you, Aaron, for connecting with Chad. So I wanted to give one statistic that was passed on to me during the course of this meeting. 2,248 of the housing units out of the 2,746 that were destroyed do have a pathway to rebuild. That's 81.9%. And that's a statistic from Office of Recovery. So I think that's a really good thing. Of course, what we're going to focus on is the other 18, 19%, how we can get them as well. But I think that's a really good thing to report on, that nearly 82% of the units that were destroyed have a pathway to rebuild. And we want to continue to provide that pathway whenever we can. Thanks everybody for taking time tonight. Please, I'm going to stress again, keep an eye on the weather. Make sure you guys are keeping track of what's happening, especially this Friday, Saturday. I know Yayoi was here. I know she came in. The O-Bond is still on for Friday, correct? Okay, the O-Bond is still on. Stay tuned. Obviously, that's outdoors, so make sure everybody's aware of what's happening. Please come up to see us, and thank you again. We'll see you next month. Aloha.